I must have been 10, maybe 11 years old when a friend introduced me to Conker's Bad Fur Day, and it is safe to say that I did not expect to have to give cows diarrhea for part of the main story of any video game. But yet, here I found myself in that exact situation. As an obnoxious little boy, I was already absolutely smitten with this game, and I would only find myself enjoying it more and more as the bits and the gags got nastier and nastier. The humor was top-notch for anybody who could see the funny side of poop and other potty humor. I loved the interaction with characters in this game, especially the ones who would curse at you while simultaneously sending you on a quest, such as unleashing a massive amount of dookie so that they could build you a giant ball of poop out of it. I had no idea why I would need a giant ball of poop at this point in my life, but I was prepared to do whatever it took to get one. This enormous dung beetle had just sent me on the quest of a lifetime. The music in these poop levels was absolutely unforgettable. A gastric symphony of farts and splatters just filled your ears while you explored. The walls ran brown with the steamy aftermath of a 3-day Taco Bell binge with nothing to wash it down but an extra large jar of chunky peanut butter. This was quite possibly one of the most hilarious things I had ever seen in a video game up to this point in my life. I thought that I had seen it all. And yet, the fight ahead still had so much to offer and so many memories to make. And it started out by meeting the fat bastard himself, the lonely bovine bully in the middle of the arena, who basically comes up and he's like, "I don't like red." Well, Conker, just trying to find some poo, man, and a bowl seems like a good place to find some bullshit, if you know what I mean. Before things can really begin to get heated with the bowl, we have to climb up this tower that leads to the top of a barrel. You gotta dodge a cavalcade of tumbling turds along the way, and when you get to the top, you run in a circle on top of the handle, and it releases the monstrous flow of a purple purgative plum juice that's gonna let these cows absolutely come uncorked. This stuff looked nasty, but even as a little kid, I knew that this was the key. The big component to make something absolutely shit its guts out. And it was gonna be hilarious. I could not wait. So things began, the targets pop out from the wall, and it's pretty obvious what you do. You know that when you see a bullseye, the bull needs to hit it. So all you gotta do is stand in front of this thing, you jump up so the bull's big old horns of agony ravage the target rather than yourself. You do that, and then it unleashes a gate which lets a cow come into the arena, and that cow is an adorable little old cow with a silly accent, and it's just grazing, and yet another wall pops up out of the ground with a bullseye on it. So of course, logic dictates the only thing to do is to get the bull to hit the target again. And of course that works. His horns get stuck in the wall and you just have to jump on his back, and next thing you know, you're getting him ready to rear up and ram into things. And well, what's the only thing hovering around the arena that might be fun to hit? Poor little old innocent Miss Cow. So you run into the side of her, and she gets all pissed, "Oh my, what a brute," and wanders off to go drink some of this absolutely putrid purple fluid. As one might expect, that stuff did not sit well in one of Cow's tummies, because if I remember right, isn't it cows? Don't cows have multiple stomachs? I could Google it, but it would be much more fun to let you guys go to the comments and tell me whether or not cows have more than one stomach. I'm pretty sure. Is it a myth? Oh well, fuck it, whatever. We'll figure that part out later. Anyhow, this cow chugs this stuff, and then she starts to get the rumblies. She's getting it bad. I mean, you can hear stuff gurgling around in there, and she starts to fart, and she starts to, you know, get a little bit of seepage. So she goes running over to the grate, and she just comes unglued. I mean, the old sphincter of gluttony just opens up and lets out this hellish flow of greasy, nasty dookie. And of course, little 10-year-old me sat there and rolled laughing, thinking it was oh so hilarious. And, well, truth be told, it still is. To this day, this part of this game is absolutely hilarious in my eyes, and nobody could convince me otherwise. But then you get to do it all over again. You have to hit more targets with the bowl, and you have to get more cows to shit themselves, and then the sad part is you gotta hit the cows with the bowl and they just explode. And unlike the mouse that you kill in a previous mission, the cows, don't look like they're still living. Like the mouse Marvin, he was still there, right? Like his head, his little eyes were still moving around. These cows are cooked, man. They're dead. It sucks. Poor cows. Cows are cool and delicious. This level, though, is really fun, and it doesn't drag on, which I hate to say it, but some parts of this game really do. It's not like a big detriment to the game, but there's a few levels that it's just like, alright, we could be done with this, talking about that fucking nightclub. But otherwise, the bull, he's not like the hardest to control. He's a little difficult. He whips around and stuff, but it can't be too easy, right? Because he is a bull after all. Bulls are not easy to control, and if they were, wouldn't that make rodeos even more boring than I think they already are? Don't know about you guys, but not my cup of tea, that's for damn sure. After the cows are done firing off like 10,000 gallons of slippery, sloppy poop juice into the grate, and the bull's done destroying the poor things, he finds himself alone on the grate, and the grate begins to shake, and he makes a very astute inner observation of himself. He questions why am I such a fat bastard? But before he can finish his thought, the grate gives way beneath him, because after all, he's a fat son of a bitch, and he falls in, and of course the opening is there, free and open for Conker to jump into himself, which then leads to the point in the game where Conker finds himself in the position to take some confidence pills, which give him the ability to go diving underwater. So in this game, the first time that you dive underwater actually happens to be in a giant vat of diarrhea, which is pretty silly if you ask me. After you have dove to the bottom of the abyssal vat of shit, you find yourself back in the room where the giant dung beetle gave you this mission, and yet he is not there. But if you go outside and you go around back of the building, you find yourself rewarded with the greatest prize in the history of prizes, a massive wrinkly ball of shit that you can now push around and maybe even get into a little bit of trouble with. Because the next part of this game is even more funny. And if you're interested in that, you should do two things. You should consider subscribing to my channel, and if you'd like to see the next part, and remember that with me too, you should check out this video here, because that's exactly what we do in it.